So we're going to try to create this motor in Fusion 360. So as always, we'll start by creating a sketch. I'm going to create my sketch on the XY plane because that way I will be able to sort of trace out the bottom and then go from there and trace it out more. So I will start by placing a center diameter circle because I want it to be, I know I want the center to be 20 millimeters. So I'm going to type in 20 millimeters, click enter. So there's my circle. Now I also want this to sort of not include the edges here. So instead of clicking this rectangle, which says 2 point, I'm going to actually go into the menu and select center rectangle. So again, I can pick the center, and I want to include these edges, but I don't want to include, I want it to cut off. So I'm going to set the vertical to 15, and then you tab over to pick another measurement there. And it doesn't really matter what size it is because it's not going to be part of my object. See, what the point was is that I have a shape now that allows me to click that, and that's the profile I'm going to use for my motor. So I'm going to finish my sketch, and I'm going to click the home button so I can see what I'm doing. It's way too zoomed in, so I'm scrolling using the center mouse. And now I'm going to create extrude. And when I click on this section, it should, give me the arrow, and I'm going to lift it up. Now what I'm planning to do is only, so there's a silver part and a black part. I found that the silver part was 20 millimeters and there was an additional 5 for the plastic black part, so I'm actually only going to make this 20 millimeters and then hit enter. So there, I've got my beginnings of my motor, and I can pan around and take a look at this by clicking shift and the center button, and you can see it from all different angles. It's looking pretty good. One thing I noticed is those edges are really harsh. I'd like to kind of clean up these edges using a neat trick. So I'm going to navigate back to home so I can see what I'm doing. Now I can work with this actual 3D shape. I'm going to say modify, and then there's a command here called fillet. And when I do that, I can select these corners like this. I can select that corner and I can fillet it. I don't know, maybe I want to make that radius 2 millimeters. If you make it too big, 25, it goes crazy. Like too big might be a little off. Too small, it's barely noticeable. I don't know. You can pick what you want to do. I would say 2 millimeters would be a good amount. It just sort of cleans it up, and I can do this to multiple. I can select multiple lines at the same time. I think I can. Nope, I'm just going to do this. What I can do is select the lines. So another neat trick is if you want to just keep repeating that command over and over again, you would right click and say repeat fillet and click that. So I'm going to select that line, 2 millimeters, go. And then I can't see what's going on back there, so I'm going to shift center mouse button, scroll around, then I'm going to right click, repeat fillet, and then pick that line, say 2 millimeters, pick that line, oh sorry, right click, repeat fillet, 2 millimeters, okay. So now I've got kind of a more rounded looking motor, right? I could also do the same thing here. I feel like the top of this also should be a little bit rounder. So I could also repeat fillet and do the same thing here. See, it selects the whole profile. 2, that's way too much. Maybe I want to do 0.5. That looks a bit more reasonable. And I'm going to leave the bottom because I'm going to do something different with that when I put the black on. So that's the very beginning of what we're trying to do here. I'm going to stop this video here. You can try that, and then we'll try the next thing in the next video.